Good afternoon to our audience and to our speakers. A very, very warm welcome to the 2021 edition of EU Green Week. Just a reminder that in this opening session we do have interpretation in German and in Greek. My name is Katrina Sickle. I'm a moderator and broadcaster, and I have the immense privilege of navigating us all through this opening session, in which we've brought together a raft of fantastic speakers drawn from the political and, well, from other spheres. You need to stay until 3 o'clock CEST in order to find out who they are. Suffice to say, in this studio in Brussels with me, at a distance, I am joined by Commissioner Sinkevicius and also by the Director General of DG Environment, Florica Fink-Hoyer. So what's on the table? What are we going to unpack in this opening session? Well, of course, as you all know, the European Commission's action plan for zero pollution. It really does set out a tremendously ambitious vision. But I'm not going to say too much more right now. In fact, I'm going to give that possibility to the President of the European Commission. So let's hear a few words from Ursula von der Leyen.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm so pleased to kick off this new European Union Green Week. It is wonderful to know that there are hundreds of partner events taking place across Europe, big and small, north and south and east and west. From twinned upcycling workshops in France and Germany to online eco-quiz for high school students in Slovakia. Or citizens can go to the municipal gardens in Logroño in Spain to learn about composting. Or they can find out how to reduce plastic waste on the shores of the Black Sea in Constanța in Romania. If we are to save our planet, we need these kind of small individual actions. We need them alongside the structural changes that we are making through the European Green Deal. In the past year, we have all been confined by a pandemic. We have spent more time inside than we wished. And as a result, we have discovered a newfound appreciation of being outside, in nature, in the fields, farms and forests that cover our countryside, or the parks, the playgrounds and plazas that are spread across our towns and cities. I believe that this appreciation for nature also comes with a greater awareness of its vulnerability. It is painfully clear that human activity has negative impacts on other forms of life. Pollution is threatening the survival of more than 1 million plant and animal species on land and at sea. It is one of the 5 leading causes for biodiversity loss. We cannot be negligent any longer. Thus, we are determined to tackle this challenge through our European Green Deal. Another truth that we are increasingly aware of is that the health of the planet is closely linked with human health. The loss of biodiversity and the intrusion of humans into the habitat of wildlife is the breeding ground for pandemics. And when we pollute the planet, we pollute our own bodies and minds. 1 in 8 deaths in Europe is caused by pollution. Several cancers and heart and respiratory diseases are linked to pollution. And on top comes another issue. The most vulnerable in society are suffering the harshest impacts. These threats affect our children, whose fragile bodies can suffer long-term harm. They threaten the elderly and those with particular medical conditions. And they disproportionately impact the most deprived members of society, those who are living in poorer socioeconomic conditions. So the fight against pollution is also a fight for fairness and equality. It is for all of them and for Mother Earth that I presented my zero pollution ambition for Europe. I did this right after being nominated as Commission President in 2019. And I'm proud of all the work we did. Last month, the Commission adopted our Zero Pollution Action Plan. We're setting new 2030 targets to tackle pollution in all its forms, to reduce it to a level where it no longer harms human health or the environment. And let me give you some examples. We will tackle air pollution. We will more closely align our air quality standards with the latest WHO recommendations. We will tackle water pollution by reviewing our water quality standards. By 2030, we expect to reduce the plastic waste in our oceans by half and microplastics by 30%. We will tackle soil pollution, protecting and restoring the life-giving ground beneath our feet. With our European Green Deal, the European Union walks its talk, and it takes the lead on the global stage. Yes, it's a long way ahead of us. In the European Union, we already have strong laws in place to reduce pollution, and we will closely monitor their implementation by member states. And we will enforce our legislation more strictly when needed. But most importantly, our European Union is showing that it means business. We are tackling pollution from A to Z in Europe, from production to waste. Our aim is to lead by example. Pollution and climate change know no borders. We will not protect Europeans through action in Europe alone. We must also work with and inspire our international partners. European standards have to become global standards. We have already committed to give protected status to at least 30% of land and sea here in Europe. We now want to broker the same ambition at global level. I am looking forward to the next UN Biodiversity Summit in Kunming, China in October. I want this global gathering to bring us a Paris-style agreement for biodiversity. I want the world to say in Kunming, we have one planet, we all share it, and we will all care for it. Together we will reduce air, water and soil pollution everywhere. We need a race to zero in greenhouse gas emissions and a race to zero in pollution as well. To all of you watching, listening and taking part in the European Union's Green Week events, you have a crucial role to play. Let's deliver on Europe's zero pollution ambition. As you organize your events, as you have conversations with friends, family and colleagues, keep in mind this quote by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. End of quote. Let's change the world together and make it a world of zero pollution. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to the President of the Commission for her very warm and very passionate words there, and for reminding us exactly how this zero pollution ambition fits as a whole within the European Green Deal, within the green transition, but also very importantly how reducing pollution goes hand in hand with achieving climate neutrality and, of course, biodiversity objectives. And we're going to hear all sorts of individuals' diverse viewpoints on their own vision for zero pollution in this opening. You at home or in your offices can actually make your voices heard in two ways: via Slido in sessions, not in this one because it's jam-packed with fantastic speakers, but your moderators in all other sessions will absolutely tell you how to do that. But we do invite you for this session to post some words of wisdom, to launch them into the Twitter sphere, something inspiring and upbeat. The best 3 tweets that we see coming in, we will post right at the very end of this opening session, so please get busy with your fingers. So we heard there from the President of the European Commission, and now I'm very, very delighted to ask Commissioner Sinkevičius to open, well, from his perspective. So over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, and of course, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome at the European Green Week for 2021. Our topic is zero pollution for healthier people and planet. And it comes right after the adoption of the Zero Pollution Action Plan by the Commission earlier this month. Together with the Chemical Strategy for Sustainability, the plan translates the ambition for a toxic-free environment into tangible actions. This ambition is one of the main building blocks of the European Green Deal, together with our action to combat climate change, protect and restore biodiversity, and making our economy more circular and resource efficient. President von der Leyen mentioned some striking statistics showing how pollution accelerates biodiversity loss and shortens healthy lives. She reminded us that those who suffer the most from this pollution are the most vulnerable. I say this pollution, but it's our pollution. We are the cause, so we have a huge obligation to act. This week is all about solutions, about showing the many advantages of decisive action on pollution. Because strong action will help us recover from the pandemic and set our economy on a path that works for the people and the planet. It's about those solutions and actions that people ask and want to see in their daily lives, in their cities and living environment, their jobs and businesses. Those that reduce emissions of harmful substances, that deliver a cleaner environment and a healthier living. Investing in clean, circular and green solutions makes also good business sense. In recent years, the environmental sector has outperformed the overall economy. There are millions of new green jobs out there, not just in eco-industries, but in transport, energy and agriculture, which have and need sustainability at their core. Zero pollution is a huge opportunity. Eco-innovation combined with new business models increase productivity, attracts investment and improves the corporate image. We need this decade to be the roaring 20s of environmental and climate action. With Europe's response to the pandemic, we are off to a new start. The potential of our 1.8 trillion recovery plan, the largest investment program our continent has ever seen, is huge. We can use it to build back more sustainably and with far less pollution. Our vision is that by 2050, we live in a toxic-free environment. Together, we must cut down pollution to levels that are no longer harmful for health and natural ecosystems and respect boundaries of our planet. So how do we do that? It's a question of moving many different levels. If you want a cleaner air, for instance, you need cleaner agriculture. You need cleaner transport and cleaner energy, so that the 400,000 premature deaths from air pollution every year become a thing of the past. We need to think about noise pollution. So we need quieter transport that doesn't disturb us in our daily life. We need higher water quality. That's better for nature, but it's also better for our wallet, as it means lower costs for water treatment. And a new approach to soil, identifying contaminated sites and restoring the damage. And last, but certainly not least, importantly, we need our farming to be more efficient. We need to do everything we can to use nutrients properly, to grow healthy food, not to pollute the water and the air. It's a very ambitious program, so I'm delighted we have several days to discuss the details, because it has a multitude of dimensions. One aspect is updating and tightening the implementation of our legislation, putting in place the measures to deliver on the commitments we have already taken, and also to be more ambitious where we have identified the need to step up the bar and to address new challenges like fine particulate matter, microplastics, or endocrine disruptors. Obviously, legislation will not do the trick on its own. This is a major transition for society, for individuals, for local and regional authorities, for industry and business. And everyone has their role to play. That means also innovation. The entrepreneurs, the researchers, the engineers, they are ready and waiting. Many of these green technologies already exist, and they have to become the norm. Some still have to be invented or scaled up. What we need is policymakers and business to invest their political and financial capital in the idea that we must get to a stage where zero pollution is business as usual. And for that, we need pressure to come from across the board. We need citizens and societal actors to push for this green transition. And many are already doing this. This is a world that people really want. And this is what we want to deliver, a transition towards zero pollution that's green and digital, which fits with our goals for climate neutrality, health, biodiversity, and resource efficiency. That's why we have an action plan for preventing and reducing pollution with concrete actions for the mandate of this Commission to get us on track for our 2030, but also 2050 goals. And as we implement the plan, the wins will get bigger all the time. This is a Europe worth fighting for.
Thank you so very much, and for that great finish there. And I love to hear those words there, zero pollution needs to be business as usual. And again, to underline the striking statistics, the impact of pollution on health and on biodiversity. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that in this first short discussion panel, where I'm going to invite representatives from the World Health Organization and from the UN Environment Programme to join us for a short conversation with the Commissioner. But first, we have a video message from the Director General of the World Health Organization. So let's hear some words from him. Thank you.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, the European Union's Green Deal, with its key pillar of the zero pollution ambition, is an opportunity for health and the environment to speak with one voice. This is a major and badly needed policy shift, a commitment to address the root environmental causes of ill health and promote pollution-free models of growth, in line with the WHO Manifesto for a Healthy Recovery. In 2016, as much as 24% of all deaths worldwide were attributable to the environment. Ambitious targets to tackle air, water, and soil pollution for health protection should be integrated into all policies to decouple economic growth from pollution. These targets will also strengthen the links between environmental protection, sustainable development, and health. The COVID-19 pandemic is a vivid demonstration of the intimate links between the health of people, animals, and planet. That's why a One Health approach combining human, animal, and environmental health is so important. My friends, a healthy planet is a collective responsibility. Our lives and the lives of future generations depend upon it. I thank you.
Thank you very much there to the Director General. And while I have the Commissioner here with me, sitting at a distance in the studio, I'm delighted to ask to join me virtually from the World Health Organization live, the Director for the Department of Public Health, Environmental and Social Determinants for Health, Maria Nera, and also joining us from the United Nations Environment Programme Head of Office, Veronica Hunt-Safrankova. Veronica, you've done so beautifully. Thank you for stepping in for the Director of the Europe Office, Bruno Pozzi, who unfortunately could not join us at the very last minute. Now, I'm going to just carry on with the World Health Organization there. We heard about that very intimate link between the people, animals, climate. So I'm going to ask Maria Nera first. how has the COVID pandemic influenced your particular views on all of these challenges related to environmental pollution? Just give us 2 or 3 insights.
Thank you very much. A real pleasure to be with you. For us, not that we need it, but the pandemic was a reminder of the incredible damage we are doing to nature, which is the one providing the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the water we drink. So if it's polluted, definitely our health will be very much at risk. For us, this zero pollution means 100 health. I think this is the most beautiful message. Whatever we do to tackle the pollution, we will contribute to reduce the 9 million, the 7 million premature deaths caused every year by air pollution, the almost 14 million deaths caused by environmental risk factors. As the DG was saying, 24% of the global burden of deaths and diseases is coming from environmental risk factors that we could modify. So let's do it together. This is so ambitious, but at the same time it's common sense, and at the same time it's a winner for climate change causes, winner for air pollution, and more than anything is a winner for health. And if we tell people that this is about not only polluting the environment, that sometimes when we talk about pollution, people tend to think about environmental pollution, but that environmental pollution will get in our lungs and from lungs to the rest of the body. So it's about health as well.
Absolutely.
So this is absolutely fundamental for us, and we are very pleased to be here today, and thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, and so important there to reiterate that connection. It is also about human health. It's about protecting biodiversity too. We've heard there from the Commissioner, we heard at the beginning from the President of the Commission. So I'm going to turn to to Veronika Safrankova, and I'm going to ask you about, this global fight against environmental pollution in terms of protecting biodiversity. Now, we heard there about the upcoming UN Convention on Biological Diversity. It's coming up. Ursula von der Leyen spoke of it. So just give us just a couple of perhaps the main challenges and the main opportunities that arise from that summit.
Thank you, Katrina, and good afternoon to all. Pleasure to be here. I will be very brief in a matter of time. Pollution indeed is recognized as one of the main direct drivers of biodiversity loss. We therefore expect ambitious and realistic targets agreed at COP15 on biological diversity later this year. Specifically in this context, regarding target on reduction pollution from all sources to levels that are not harmful to human health, biodiversity, and ecosystem functions. So what are the key challenges? As you ask, all forms of pollution pose a serious threat to biodiversity, but in particular excess of nutrients, including application of fertilizers, which is a major and increasing cause of biodiversity loss and ecosystem dysfunction, but also pesticides, persistent organic pollutants, and other hazardous materials. And of course, plastic waste, particularly in the marine environment. And what are the opportunities? Well, above all, a transition towards circular economy, including sustainable production, lifestyles, and consumption, transition towards sustainable agriculture systems, and managing various ecosystems through an integrated One Health approach that would support both healthy people and healthy planet.
Thank you so very much for that. And that leads me nicely to be able to turn to the Commissioner. Delightful to have you here with me. So you heard there, absolutely challenges, you know them. You heard their opportunities, you spoke of the opportunities, particularly in new business models there, and some real enthusiasm from the World Health Organization in terms of everybody working together. So how can we achieve not just a global agenda, but an ambitious global agenda?
I think first of all, it's important that today we hear a united message which is supported by the Commission President, which is supported by WHO, UNEP, and I think this is an important setting stone for our further negotiations in this matter. I think what was said very correctly, that COVID-19 was a alarm bell to everyone, that it's time to react, and we cannot ignore the scope of the problems, because when they explode, they become social, economic issues, not only or just pollution. So I think now it's a great timing to react. We have a great base with our Zero Pollution Action Plan, which has also particularly strong international agenda, which we, of course, going to be implementing.
Okay, so that's lovely. You've just segued yourself into my next question to you, which is all about this Zero Pollution Action Plan. And I think so important also because for all of us, it's a very good reminder, or perhaps an entry point into the wider discussions on, you know, the urgency of acting for the environment. So we heard there from the Commissioner about the action plan. I'm going to ask you, keeping in mind this global framework, what are the 3 main features that you would like to lay out for us?
First of all, understanding that pollution respects no borders. So we are all in this together. And there is no way that we can, on its own, EU on its own, or some bigger countries around the globe can figure it out. We all have to act together. Secondly, I think what important messages we hear, that it's not only about pollution, it's a driver of biodiversity loss. Yeah. And by losing biodiversity, we're losing carbon sinks. And then our main challenge, the Green Deal objective, is impossible to reach without a healthy ecosystems. And thirdly, I think we have to carry it to not only CBD 15 in Kunming, but also COP 26 in Glasgow, and have them connected and fulfilling each other and making sure that we have a strong global agenda.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And I'm going to turn back now to to Maria and to Veronica. And I think that's a very critical word there, connected, how we have to connect it up. So my last question to you, it's 2-pronged for a beautifully concise answer, if I may ask. It's really, what are your thoughts on the action plan within this global framework? And if you have one main ask for the Commission, what are your expectations?
Can I start?
Indeed, you can start. I love that. You are so polite. You may begin.
Thank you very much. I have 3 asks for him, but really very short. The first one, of course, we need the European Union to provide leadership and championing. We trust you, and we will give all the visibility to the work of the European Union to make sure that others feel positive competition. So we need to create a positive competition among countries to see who is doing more to reach this ambitious target of zero pollution. The second, please, dear Commissioner, I know how much you and your team are committed to this, but let's join in forces with the health outcomes, because more we can provide information to our citizens about the health outcomes obtained by this plan of action that is so good, the better it will be. The more we say, and we will be doing this with you from WHO, saying we are putting in place this measure, but look at the benefits that we are generating for health. And I think this will motivate enormously, because people is very much concerned about their lungs, their health, and their bodies, and you know, the future and the present health. And the last one is you are never ambitious enough when it's about public health. So keep the level of ambition very, very high, and monitor results and use that to keep pressure and motivating people. And again, we will be very happy to join forces with you. And of course, UNEP, we have been working for them for so long, joining forces between environment and health. But now maybe we will be even more supported by others, isn't it, UNEP? I think now people realize how important this is. So we have the Zero Pollution Plan, which is like when Nelson Mandela says, I had a dream, but now we have a dream and an action plan. So let's go for it.
I love it. You're brilliant. How can anybody not go for it when you're so clear? So absolutely, you can never be ambitious enough when it comes to public health. We need to get those stories out there. We need to bring people on side to have that understanding. Let me come now to Veronica. Do those words resonate with you? How do you see within the global framework this very ambitious action plan, and what would be your main ask towards the Commission?
They do indeed, and I would like to echo Maria. I couldn't have said it better, but the EU Zero Pollution Action Plan is a major regional contribution to a healthy planet for all, and it has a great potential to advance reduction of pollution of air, water and soil within and beyond EU borders. We very much appreciate also the decreasing the overseas pollution footprint of EU activities, which really can result in major direct and indirect shifts globally. What we also appreciate is the integration, the better integrated overview of pollution for both public and private actors. Mm-hmm. What should be the key messages? We need concrete actions. We need concrete actions now, backed by a holistic long-term approach, one that is informed by science, invests in human and planetary health, and results in behavioral change. It has been mentioned already in the past, and what Maria mentioned, the environment and health nexus. So we need to work together on this across multilateral fora. And we count on EU's leadership to continue supporting science, using it for policy options and decision-making, and taking ambitious actions to respond to all these already mentioned planetary crises, including the implementation of this EU Zero Pollution Plan. And we are very much looking forward to continue working on this together.
Thank you very much. And thank you also just for highlighting there the importance of public and private actors in the mix, and also underpinned by science. But there was that big call, Commissioner, from both of our ladies there saying, you know, we need that EU leadership. I think that's the biggest message of many that came out of it. So before I release them, any response to that?
I think our leadership, as long as it's accepted, will be maintained. We are the first ones to step in with the Zero Pollution Action Plan. But most importantly, I think President von der Leyen was addressing everyone today, not just as a nice words of courtesy, but she really means it, and she really cares. From the very beginning, she's been very closely following biodiversity strategy. I'm not going even to start speaking about the health, because now I guess she already is an expert with all the COVID crisis handling. So you have a not only a leadership, but support from the highest ranks of the EU.
Thank you very much. And I think it's really lovely to have you here to say, no, she really cares. And I think that's so very important for everybody to hear words like that, especially in these times when, you know, the whole policy-making sphere is, it's very, very tricky time. So thank you for emphasising that real caring. So I am allowed to release my fabulous guest speakers who come from the World Health Organization and from UNEP, and to thank them very, very warmly for almost breaking the ice with us today. We are going to move straight on with the Commissioner here with me, and I'm going to invite to the screen the Mayor of Lahti in Finland, Pekka Timonen. Why? Well, because just yesterday, because they are winners of the European Green Capital 2021, they actually picked us to the post here in Brussels, because you kind of officially opened GreenWeek yesterday, did you not? Welcome.
That was great. Yeah, that was great. Yesterday we had the opening ceremony for the GreenWeek, and Commissioner and ministers were there, and that was fantastic for us. We are very happy to be kind of co-hosting the EU GreenWeek.
Great, and I see that you're in fine form, so I trust you didn't stay up quite all night. You got a little bit of sleep before joining us today. The obvious question, because we talked about European Green Capital there, is what couple of ingredients do you think made you take home that prize?
Well, it's about making a transformation of a city, having a very long-term and very ambitious environmental goals, as Lahti has had. And it's all about action, not only making great plans and communicating how you move forward, but really doing the things. Firstly, of course, Lahti, it all started with the dirty lake. We had the most polluted lake in Finland. Today it's clean and we can enjoy the lake. Moving forward with waste management, very efficient use, recycling and reusing all our waste. We don't have a landfill anymore. Then moving forward again, engaging people, and then today, very hard working with the climate change. Already 12 years ago, very ambitious climate goals were set. And today we know that already by 2025, Lahti will be carbon neutral. So long-term ambitious goals.
Indeed, and you bring me to my next question there, because it is incredibly ambitious, because Lahti 2025 carbon neutral, 10 years before the state of Finland, 25 years before the EU target. Just two reasons for me, just very concisely, why for you is carbon neutrality so important, and what couple of actions would you say, Katrina, those are the ones I think are the most important to achieve our targets?
Very briefly, we believe and we know basically sustainable city is a better city, and it has to be a better city for everyone. And moving forward with the carbon neutrality is the path we all must follow. So we decided to go there rather first than last. We have changed our energy system, said goodbye to coal and fossil fuels in heating and electricity systems. And we are now working with the traffic, making a sustainable urban traffic, and in all, creating a carbon neutral lifestyle, creating a better city, to put it very simply.
And I think there, and you talked there about, you know, the importance of all of those different elements. And I personally think it's very important to combine the sustainable urban development goals and the well-being of people, to put those together. It's important to keep that in mind. Is that something that resonates for you?
Yes, we are actually more and more thinking about, we have a planetary health. Also resonating that when we do environmental actions and we move forward with ambitious plans, it also means that we are creating better well-being for the people. Already said many times today that the well-being of the environment and well-being of the people is closely related to very closely related, but even more, when we are creating a better sustainable city, it also must produce and provide people a better well-being. These things are linked together.
Absolutely, and you echo the words of Maria that we just heard from the World Health Organization. It's so important, and that people make this connection. It really is a One Health approach. Now, I've got the Commissioner still with me, so he goes and he sees different cities. Well, when things open up a bit more around Europe, you are a typical, I think, Lahti size of the average city in Europe. Just before we go, in a nutshell, what one practice would you recommend that a city of that size adopts, particularly if they might want to steal your crown as European Green Capital?
That's a very welcome competition, and I really hope that cities have this positive competition. Lahti represents the mid-sized cities, 120,000 people, so from 100 to 300,000 people. So most of the Europeans live in cities like Lahti. And our message is very simple. Work together. Put your resources and people together, move forward together, involve everyone, take all stakeholders with you, utilize all different actors, people, universities, businesses, sports, culture, everyone.
Thank you so much. You've given us such a beautiful segue into our next discussion. Anything that you want to say before I let our mayor disconnect or stay and follow the rest?
I can only call when the COVID measures allow to actually go and visit Lahti. And you know what's special about Lahti? That there is nothing special. It's a city which reached minus 70% of CO2 emissions down, and nothing has changed. It's absolutely normal, beautiful city with the fresher air for the citizens, with the clean lake for people to enjoy. So please go and visit, and you will see that the Green Deal is not something unrealistic. It's just there. It's reality there in Finland. And thank you very much, Mayor, for being with us and spreading that excellent message.
I love that. I think Mr. Pekkarinen, you are going to get a lot of visitors now. It's just there, says the Commissioner. You are going to be absolutely chock-a-block with visitors coming by foot or bike somehow.
Welcome to Lahti, everyone. We are here, and we are also very happy to collaborate with everyone because we believe that doing together, you make great things.
Thank you so very much, and I really appreciate your heartfelt and inspiring words. I'm allowed to release you now. Do stay and do connect again and watch the rest of this opening session, and I thank you so much for taking the time and the trouble to join us. So I have the Commissioner just with me for 5 minutes longer, which is fabulous because, as I said to you, dear audience, we've got a real treat in store. This next session, we are privileged to have a chat with 5 very unusual guests. They're bringing really the personal into the political, and they're going to share with us their visions for zero pollution. So I'd like to ask all of them to first join us on screen. I think we can say hello. It's fabulous. I'm just having a look on the big screen here because I get to see you all together in your very different locations. In Munich, we have Greece, we have Latvia, we have the UK. We have this truly European panoply of fabulousness here. So let me give the ladies and gentlemen just briefly, before I turn to the Commissioner, let me say who is joining us. So from Munich first, we have 2 guests. We have football world champion 2014, considered to be one of the best defenders of his generation and of all time. I love saying that. And for the purposes of this opening session at GreenWeek, Tournament Director and Head of the Euro 2024 Organising Committee in Germany, Philipp Lahm. And with him, hello. So lovely to have you here. And with him, 2-time European champion, Women's Champions League winner 2015 and European Footballer of the Year, Female Footballer of the Year 2015, Celia Sasic. Hello to you.
Hello, everyone.
So lovely. And together with Philip, Celia is a representative of UEFA Euro 2024 in Germany, which is set to be the cleanest, greenest Euro ever. So hold that thought a moment. We also have with us, not from the sports world now, from the art world, we've got Mandy Barker. She is an international award-winning photographer whose work on marine plastic debris has received global recognition, and we're going to find out more about that work very shortly. Also, Commissioner, and our lovely audience at home, we have Giorgos Tsoulis. He is a celebrity chef, and he is ambassador for the European Commission's Taste the Oceans campaign on sustainable fish and seafood. There he is, in his rightful place in the kitchen, which is great. And we also have from Latvia, cartoonist and illustrator Gatis Sluka. Now, why? Because his work focuses on raising awareness of environmental issues, and his work, his cartoons, his illustrations have appeared in all sorts of diverse publications, The Washington Post, USA Today, China Daily, and so on. So delightful to have you all with us. I'm going to come to the chef first for a couple of questions, and then I'm going to ask the Commissioner to launch a challenge before he has to leave for his own challenges. But both of us need to put in an earpiece for you. And if I do it the right way round, that helps. English is on channel 1. I'm just going to do a reminder. Let me see if I have. And I'd like to ask an opening question, please, to Giorgos. The obvious opening question is, for you, what is a zero pollution world?
Καταρχάς, καλησπέρα από την ηλιόλουστη Ελλάδα. Θα ήθελα πάρα πολύ να σας ευχαριστήσω για την τιμητική πρόσκληση που μου κάνατε να συμμετέχω και εγώ στην Ευρωπαϊκή Πράσινη Εβδομάδα. Το όραμά μου για έναν κόσμο με μηδενική ρύπανση είναι να μπορέσουμε όλοι μαζί, ξεκινώντας ο καθένας από τον εαυτό του, βασικό είναι αυτό, και από τον τομέα του, να κάνουμε βίωμά μας ένα πιο οικολογικό τρόπο ζωής, ώστε οι επιλογές μας να είναι φυσικά βιώσιμες. Αν ο καθένας μας μπορεί συνειδητά να ζει πιο οικολογικά, έτσι θα αλλάξει η βάση της πυραμίδας και θα μας φέρει πιο κοντά στο στόχο μηδενικής ρύπανσης.
Thank you very much. And you there obviously talked about the importance of the personal. You are somebody who has this personal approach in your life. So tell us, how are you integrating this approach in your daily life? I think it's a bit of an obvious for the audience, but let's please hear from you.
Πολύ ωραία η ερώτηση αυτή. Κοιτάξτε να δείτε, ως σεφ, στο χώρο που κινούμε, έχει τεράστια σημασία να μειώσουμε τα απορρίμματα τροφής. Και ειδικά με στις κουζίνες. Εγώ κινούμαι μέσα σε επαγγελματικές κουζίνες, αλλά και στο στούντιο μαγειρικής που βρισκόμαστε τώρα εδώ πέρα, όπου δημιουργούμε συνταγές και προσπαθούμε οι περισσότερες μας συνταγές να είναι βιώσιμες. Επίσης, πρέπει να περάσουμε στους επιχειρηματίες της εστίασης να λειτουργούν πιο πράσινα, πιο βιώσιμα μέσα στα εστιατόρια τους και φυσικά να μην χρησιμοποιούμε πλαστικά σκεύη, που είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό αυτό, μέσα στις κουζίνες. Αυτά προσπαθώ, όπως είπα και προηγουμένως, να τα εφαρμόζω και στις κουζίνες στις οποίες δουλεύω και στο στούντιο μαγειρικής, αλλά και στο σπίτι μου. Όπως όλοι καταλαβαίνετε, τα πάντα ξεκινάνε από το σπίτι μας.
Thank you. I'm just listening, obviously. I'm just catching up there with our delightful interpreters. For you, Commissioner, I think, well, I'm going to give you the opportunity to set our chef a challenge, if I may. So let's see if he's going to take it up, a live challenge. So I leave you to throw down the gauntlet, please.
First of all, of course, Kalispera to Yorgos, and it's great to see you. I know you are always up for challenges. And let me give you one with very special ingredients. First of all, the first ingredient is, of course, zero waste. The second one is seasonality. You know yourself that it's very important to dish to be delicious. And the last but most important one, at the heart, it has to be sustainable. So I hope you will be able to spread a word through the language of food, through the language of taste, about our today's event.
Thank you. Oh, I've just cut. Thank you so much there. I love that. Very poetic, very romantic. Now there is a challenge there. I'm going to let our lovely chef get on with that challenge. I'm going to give him a chance to just say a couple of things about some of the ingredients he will use, but then I'm going to give him the chance. You have a challenge, Commissioner, and your challenges are waiting for you, literally, I think, when you exit the studio. So to our lovely chef, to all our lovely panellists, Commissioner, I'm going to give you leave to leave us, and I'm going to somehow convince our chef to package up what he finishes and send it to you when it's done. Okay?
Wonderful.
All right. So thank you very much, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Thank you. So let me come back to you, Giorgos. Just talk me through a couple of the ingredients, and then I'm going to move on to another of our speakers on the panel. So just a couple of things.
Πολύ ωραία. Δέχομαι την πρόκληση και θα στείλω και πακετάκι όπως μου ζητήσατε και πάμε να δούμε λίγο τι υλικά θα χρησιμοποιήσουμε. Καταρχάς έχουμε φιλεταρισμένο μπαρμπούνι και τα έχουμε εδώ στο πιατάκι. Εδώ πέρα έχουμε τα κόκαλα από το μπαρμπούνι και το κεφάλι. Τι θα τα κάνουμε άραγε, δεν λέω πολλά για να έχει και έκπληξη, έτσι, θα τα αφήσω για το τέλος. Συνεχίζω με πολύ ωραία λαχανικά, όπως είναι το φινόκιο, που είναι τώρα της εποχής, σέλερι φυσικά, πάρα πολύ ωραίο αρωματικό λαχανικό. Καλοκαίρι είναι, δεν γίνεται να μην χρησιμοποιήσουμε μια ζουμερή ντοματούλα και φυσικά λίγο πελτέ ντομάτας. Αυτά τα υλικά θα είναι τα υλικά για μια σάλτσα. Και πάμε να δούμε ένα πολύ ωραίο παραδοσιακό φαγητό που ονομάζεται τραχανάς, που είναι αυτός εδώ πέρα. Και θα τους δώσουμε μια γεύση γεμιστών. Και τα γεμιστά επίσης είναι μια καλοκαιρινή παραδοσιακή ελληνική συνταγή. Αυτά είναι τα υλικά.
Oh, yummy. That sounds so delicious. I've literally, my mouth is watering here. Okay, so I am going to let you get on with that challenge, give you a little bit of space, and I'm going to check back with you in a few moments. I'm going to visit our other fabulous speakers who we have with us. So I'd like to have a quick chat with Mandy, if I may. And what's brilliant, Mandy, is that I'm joined now by the Director General of DG Environment. She is Florica Fink-Hoyer. She's in the studio with me. So that's fabulous. Mandy, let's talk about you, your vision in a couple of sentences for a zero pollution world.
Well, I've been photographing marine plastic debris for the past 10 years, and this is, plastic that's been produced on land and has somehow found its way into the sea. And since I discovered it through my own personal kind of experience on the beach, I've since travelled the world and found plastics at all different countries and oceans around the world. So my vision is obviously to stop plastic pollution entering the sea. It's damaging, as we've already heard, to, biodiversity. It kills wildlife, it enters the human food chain. We're breathing it, we're eating it, we're drinking it out of the tap, and it just simply needs to stop.
So you are very passionate about it, you are very knowledgeable about it. How do you integrate that in your life? I think you can give us some actual concrete examples, can you not?
Yes, it would be good to see some images. So the first image that you're going to see, this was taken as part of an expedition to Henderson Island. This is one of the remote places on the planet. And this was in 2019 when I shadowed scientists who went there to study plastic pollution. This is something to do with my work that I hold very close, is that I work with scientists so that my work is accurate and I represent the facts. This actual image shows 45 different brands that were found in this remote UNESCO World Heritage Site from 25 different countries.
Yeah. And together with the Director General here, we're kind of nodding with woof. And please do show us the other image.
Yeah, this image again shocked me to the core. I mean, these pieces of plastic were recovered from the stomach of a 90-day-old albatross chick. And if you think, when you brush your teeth on a daily basis or you use an inkjet cartridge, if you actually think about where that could end up and it's actually been recovered from the stomach of a bird, I mean, that is, something that really should make you think about zero waste.
They are really arresting images, clearly, and I know that you have a lot of people who follow you, so you are really powerful at raising awareness. Let me just, before I move on to our next guest, I think we've got a nice link with you. Exactly. Tell me about the Penalty Project, please.
Yes, this is called Penalty, basically because, it's the penalty we will all face if we don't do something about the plastic issue. And this is 769 footballs that were collected from all around the world when I put out a social media call. And people posted me the footballs from their local beach, from different countries, and I created this image.
Thank you. Again, a picture speaks 1,000 words, does it not? But I do want to hear more of your words, so I'm going to come back to you. And that's given us a lovely segue, thank you, Mandy, to our next two speakers who are here to talk about Euro 2024, the greenest ever. And I think that was a very nice link there. So welcome to Philip, welcome to Celia. It's so delightful to have you joining us together from Munich. So that was the link there. I mean, the question is really the same for both of you, is really what your vision is, or what your vision as footballers, as people, for a zero pollution world. Philip, shall we start?
I will start. Ich finde, wir haben gerade wirklich ein sehr, sehr gutes Beispiel gesehen. Der Fußball aus Meeresmüll, aus dem Penalty-Projekt kombiniert die beiden Dinge, für die auch wir uns engagieren, eben Fußball und Umweltschutz.
Das stimmt. Als ehemalige Fußballprofis stehen wir vor der großen Aufgabe, Dinge zusammenzubringen, die für viele Menschen derzeit noch nicht zusammengehören.
Ich sehe es so, wir stehen einfach in der Pflicht, den Klimaschutz in jedem Lebensbereich zu verankern, als Sportler, Funktionäre und als Privatpersonen. Wir müssen jetzt die Dinge in Bewegung bringen, über die unsere Kinder und Enkel irgendwann mal sagen, das haben wir als Eltern, als Mama, Papa, als Oma, Opa wirklich gut gemacht.
Und wir sprechen dann natürlich zuerst einmal über Fußball. Der Fußball ist ja derzeit nicht unbedingt das beste Beispiel für Klimaschutz und Nachhaltigkeit. Fußball ist ganz stark mit der Mobilität von Spielern und Fans verbunden. Wir sind also Teil des Problems. Wir arbeiten aber stark daran, auch Teil der Lösung zu werden.
Der Fußball hat eben eine große Strahlkraft. Wir können mit guten Vorbild vorangehen, indem wir höchste Standards einführen und das Engagement für die Klimawende vorleben. Damit erreichen wir ja wirklich ein riesiges Publikum.
Bei der Euro 2020, die in diesen Tagen ja beginnt, sind Programme für den Ausgleich der entstehenden CO2-Emissionen aufgelegt worden. Der deutsche Spielort München ist für sein bewusstes Handling der Nachhaltigkeitsziele bekannt und mehrfach ausgezeichnet. Die Allianz Arena ist seit 2006 mit europäischen Ökokriterien zertifiziert und Teil des Bayerischen Umweltpakts.
Das Thema ist also schon jetzt sehr wichtig für uns. Mit ganz besonderem Ehrgeiz gehen wir aber die Euro 2024 in Deutschland an. Nachhaltigkeit war ein Kern der deutschen Bewerbung. Wir arbeiten daran, dass Nachhaltigkeit bei jeder einzelnen Entscheidung in der Organisation des Turniers berücksichtigt wird, also sogenanntes Querschnittsthema. Das Programm umfasst nachhaltige Mobilität, den Umgang mit Ressourcen, Lieferketten, Abfall und natürlich CO2-Neutralität.
Und alle 10 deutschen Städte, die Austragungsorte der Euro 2024 sein werden, verstärken das mit eigenen Nachhaltigkeitsstrategien. Es entsteht so etwas wie ein Wettbewerb in Sachen Nachhaltigkeit. Unsere Ziele wurden zuerst in der Theorie formuliert und werden jetzt auf ganz konkrete Aktivitäten heruntergebrochen. So können wir die Arbeit in Sachen Klimaschutz nachvollziehbar machen und streng kontrollieren. Dafür entwickeln wir ein eigenes Kontroll- und Managementsystem für nachhaltige Entscheidungen, das bei der Euro 2024 zum ersten Mal eingesetzt wird. In Folge soll es zum wichtigen Bestandteil von Großveranstaltungen werden.
Ja, und genau so kann es uns gelingen, die Themen Klimawandel und Nachhaltigkeit auf positive Weise mit dem Fußball zu verknüpfen. Gemeinsam mit der UEFA und dem Umweltministerium unterstützen wir den European Green Deal. Es ist unser Ziel, 2024 die nachhaltigste Euro aller Zeiten auszutragen und für die Zukunft zu zeigen, wie Großveranstaltungen und Nachhaltigkeit zusammenpassen, wenn man sie intelligent und engagiert plant.
Man kann es auch so sagen, wenn Großveranstaltungen mit allem, was dazugehört, bisher eher als problematisch für den Umwelt- und Klimaschutz gesehen wurden, wollen wir das umdrehen. Großveranstaltungen sollen in Zukunft ein Motor für mehr Nachhaltigkeit und die Klimawende sein. Und wir werden das große Anstrengungen unternehmen, um das Thema europaweit zu kommunizieren und in den Köpfen aller Fußballfans zu verankern.
Okay. Indeed. Thank you indeed. And as you rightly say, you do have a huge platform. So just before I move on to our last speaker, briefly, let me just ask you, you're very passionate about the responsibility in terms of football and raising that awareness. What about in your sort of personal, how do you integrate zero pollution and environmental awareness raising and cleaner, greener living in your personal lives? Just very briefly there for you, Philip. I don't mind who starts. Thank you.
Ja, nachhaltiges Leben wird ja nicht von irgendeinem beschlossen und schon passiert überall auf der Welt. Eine nachhaltige Gegenwart setzt sich aus Hunderten, Tausenden täglichen Entscheidungen zusammen, die klein und unwichtig aussehen, aber in ihrer Summe wirklich etwas bewegen können.
Das beginnt beim täglichen Einkauf, bei der Frage, was man kochen soll, welche Lebensmittel dafür verwendet werden. Wir zu Hause essen zum Beispiel viel, viel weniger Fleisch als früher, wählen vorzugsweise Lebensmittel aus regionaler Herstellung und bemühen uns vor allem, nichts davon wegzuwerfen.
Ja, man muss auch nicht für jeden Weg, den man zu erledigen hat, automatisch das Auto nehmen. Wenn man zum Beispiel zu Fuß geht oder das Fahrrad nimmt, tut man nicht nur der Umwelt etwas Gutes, sondern auch tut was für seine Gesundheit etwas Gutes. Das Thema Mobilität verändert sich ja auch in meiner Garage. Da steht nämlich demnächst ein Elektroauto.
Und natürlich diskutieren wir auch, wie wir in Zukunft reisen wollen. Und die Bahn ist da längst in der Pole Position.
Ja, das ist das eine, aber für mich ist auch enorm wichtig die Mülltrennung. Das ist ein ganz wichtiges Thema und wir als Familie achten da sehr drauf.
Es gibt unzählige Möglichkeiten, sich zwischen einem bewussten Leben im Sinne von Umweltschutz und mehr Nachhaltigkeit zu engagieren oder weiter zu wursteln, wie man das früher getan hat. Aber dazu sind wir nicht bereit. Wir wissen, dass wir etwas verändern müssen. Und jede Veränderung beginnt damit, dass wir mehr darüber nachdenken, was jeder unserer Handgriffe, jeder unserer Entscheidungen für Auswirkungen auf den Klimaschutz hat.
Indeed. Indeed, thank you, and just thank you so much for your very passionate words there. I think it's the only time that any of us have seen you sitting in chairs, in armchairs. Just to say, I always say I don't know what the Director General thinks there, but I think that's probably the first time we've seen them actually sitting in chairs. we're coming back to you very shortly. I'm going to move on just briefly now, and I'm going to come to Gattis. He has been very patiently waiting there. He is our illustrator, our cartoonist, and same thing for you. I mean, what is your vision, your personal vision, Gattis, for a zero pollution world?
I heard that sentence a couple of times before today, and I can agree with it. Everybody needs to work together and actively do things.
So you have what you do, I think, visually really helps people take that on board, because I know you also have a lot of followers, a lot of people who are very taken with your cartoons. Do you want to just talk us through 2 or 3 of the cartoons that can kind of help us understand exactly your viewpoint in terms of these environmental issues and less pollution? So let's have a look at a couple of those. I think, as I said, there we go.
Yes,
go for it.
In this cartoon, you can see working together and the usage of leg power. So maybe we can create public transport with leg power also.
Yeah. Indeed, that looks to me like wacky races. Absolutely, thank you. And why not? And in fact, we heard there from our footballers about the power of bicycling.
Yeah.
What do we have here?
Here we have. This cartoon is about waste management business. Sometimes I feel that it's more about business and less about environment. So would be nice to change that proportion, I think.
You are right. I love. Do you know, you are so beautifully understated. With these fabulous, incredibly important statements. You are absolutely right. It is important to change that. I think the Director General is nodding with me here in the studio. And what is this third cartoon?
And third cartoon is about, in my opinion, we all need to stop talking so much and start doing more. And this means talking without action does not accomplish our goals.
Indeed, that is, I think you are absolutely right. Would you, I think that's something that you would agree with, but I have a challenge for you as well. We've got the chef, our lovely chef Giorgos, who's getting on with his challenge. Could you probably draw for us, I know you haven't got much time, but a cartoon that puts the emphasis within the context in which we are speaking on the importance of the urgency to act? Can we just give a push there? And I'm going to come, I know, it's you don't have so many minutes, but I'm going to, let's see, perhaps we can see something as you start. I don't know if the technical crew are able to just switch, because I know you're working too with an iPad. Look at that, the power of digital. As we speak. There is something terribly therapeutic about watching that on screen, actually. Thank you very much. Now, you see, I'm curious as to what's going to be coming. Okay. I think we can all have a little bit of a guess. I'm going to leave you with that, Gattis, and I'm going to come back to our chef, who's coming, I hope, to the end of his challenge. But I don't want you to reveal anything first, Giorgos. While we have the Director General of DG Environment, and while you know this is a whole week where we've got policymakers and business and academia and all sorts of different people and NGOs exchanging ideas, if you have one message, one short message for a policymaker, what would that message be? And one short message to inspire everybody joining us today from home, what would it be? How can they live their own visions for zero pollution?
Στηρίζουμε καταρχάς
policy so that European Union will become the first neutral economy by 2050. We also support the UN's objectives for a sustainable development and growth. We need to help these actors, and we need to convince industrial actors that we need to change because it is for our own good. It is an investment for the future, for our own future, but most importantly for the future of our children.
And in fact, why don't you inspire us with that dish? If you're going to give inspiration to see what you finished there in, I believe, record time. Are we able to have a look? Can you show us the chef d'oeuvre?
Αμέ πάμε.
What's done here, you know? Well, you can see that I have the Greek pasta, trachanas. I will stuff vegetables, and I will put it in the oven plate. I want to show everybody that by cooking in a sustainable way, we can be impressive and tasteful. And this is perfect for our planet. We need to learn how to cook in different ways, how to change our ingredients. We need to taste more products in order to help our environment. Our planet, as you very well know, needs help. It's an SOS call. Our planet is talking to us. We need to help it. So everything starts, let me repeat that, everything starts from our own selves.
Thank you very, very much. That is package that up for the Commissioner. So I am going to hold you to that. Hold that thought a moment, please, Yorgos, and I'm going to turn to our lovely speakers in Munich, if I may, because very important, you've got a really, really big job there, obviously. This is a big ambition for, you know, Euro 2024. And so I guess what I would like to understand is how does that fit in with the framework, with the policy-making side? If you had a message or an ask for policymakers, what would that be?
Well, let me say that the first message is that we're very proud that we can support European climate policy. Yeah, we believe in the EU's targets and ambitions. We believe in the European Green Deal, because this will make Europe the first climate-neutral continent. Well, this conviction, this belief is the basis of whatever we're planning for Euro 24. We want this to be a major event for a transition in climate policy. And of course, we're not going to make it on our own. This is a very important message to policymakers for all our projects and plans and anything that we will bring on board. We will need political support from the EU side, but also from other EU or European bodies. Our cooperation started last year when, together with UEFA, we supported the Climate Pact. With Frans Timmermans, the EU Commissioner, we agreed, we convened that in Germany we will see the most sustainable European Championship ever. So we need a fruitful partnership with politicians, with the policy-making level. We need somebody to answer our questions. What can we do to achieve our targets? How can we bring about more enthusiasm for soccer, for football? How can we have everybody on board? And that's why we're here today. We want to make our network more stronger. And we want to find out what our options are and what can we do together to contribute to this very
important, the emphasis you put there on networks, not least because we heard from you in the previous answer, you know, how really Euro 2024 needs to be end-to-end cleaner, greener. So there's a hell of a lot of components that need to be in place, and you need the support as well to make that happen. And finally, the obvious thing is, you know, you have this platform. You're brilliant footballers, so you're already out of the starting blocks. But if you have a message for those of us at home to enthuse us personally to kind of think about adopting a lifestyle that's, you know, towards zero pollution, what can we do in our individual way? How would you inspire us?
Nur 2 Worte.
Yes, and the simple reasoning that we can't do it alone. As Philip said, it's a whole accumulation of decisions that each of us has to take. And we need to go it together. In soccer and football, we have the great opportunity to reach out to millions of people. with our ideas. So this is a commitment, this is our duty to set a good example. And many fans of soccer need to be won over to fight for climate change. And we can make it, we can get there together. And let me say, it's together.
Something important there. Lots of people need to be won over in different ways, and you have a really strong platform to be able to do that. So thank you so much. Don't go away quite yet. I'm going to come back. This time I'm moving from you to Mandy. And I'd love to ask you the same thing, Mandy. Obviously, you have a real commitment to this. It's so much a part of your life. So you must have some thoughts from a policy-making perspective and ask, or where you think things are right. I'm pleased about that, but gosh, I'd love to see more of this. We've heard about the need for togetherness. What about you?
Absolutely, yes. The main thing that I would like to see happening is producer responsibility. You know, this is manufacturers that produce these items that they don't have any kind of connect to at the end of use. So you use the product and then that's, you know, particularly container can end up in the sea or wherever it might go. So to connect producers and make them responsible for what happens to their products is key. And also global responsibility. We need international legislation that links everybody because, as people have said before, you know, plastic has no borders. And wherever that plastic enters the sea, it can end up in a different continent, a different land. So we all need to work together.
You had a real, I think, do you call it an epiphany? You had a moment when it really struck you, because you weren't a photographer always, were you? You were a graphic designer. You now, you know, are so well known for your photography. You had something that really hit you to the core. So if you are to inspire others at home to be, for it to resonate, I guess, as much as it has with you, what would you say?
I'd like to leave you with one particular thought, which is I had the misfortune to go to Lord Howe Island and work with scientists that were discovering birds with plastic within them. And to pick a bird up off the beach and feel the crunch of plastic in its stomach, I think is a defining moment that would make anybody, you know, never ever forget the plastic issue. But on a daily basis for the consumer, you know, if you stop buying unnecessary plastic, you try and reuse as much as you can, and then try and, you know, sign petitions, lobby your MP, and try and connect with government, because unless we connect with politics, nothing's going to get done.
Thank you very much. And everything that you've shown and spoken about is very, very arresting. And I think if the audience, well, if they want to find out more about you, they can go online, Mandy Barker, but our GreenWeek audience can also catch a short film, Trapped by Plastic, about your work on Thursday. It's a high-level session with the Director General of DG Environment, and it's at 4:45, I believe. But so all these lovely people watching us at home, please do check that out. Thank you so much, Mandy. Don't go away quite yet. We're just going to come to Gattis there, and just ask any key message, apart from absolutely, you said, come on, we can't do this unless it's an effort across the board. Is there anything else you want to add for that, or for our audience at home who are like you, who need to be inspired?
I was in my drawing. Sorry.
Oh, and there it is. Hang on. Well, do you know what?
Yeah.
Talk us through that drawing, please. That would be a good answer. We can see.
Yeah, this is alarm is ringing on, so I think we have to listen to it and act.
Thank you. And do you know, I love it because you are a man of few words, but very powerful images, which I think speak volumes. And again, I would say for you, Gattis, I think your work is shown in so many publications, so people need to jump online to find out more about what you do, because it's so fantastic, and I really thank you for meeting that challenge. All of you, I thank all of you. The chef for cooking in 3 nanoseconds. Make sure you courier it this way. To Gattis, oh, there it is. I love that. You've got the chef hand there. Fantastic. To Gattis for his brilliant work. There we go. Thank you for showing you full screen there. That is brilliant. I really appreciate that. To Mandy as well for those very arresting images, and also for your very, very arresting words. to our two fantastic, it's very hard for me to say the word ex-footballer. Come on, once a footballer, always a footballer, right? But I understand that you have not bigger things to fry, bigger fish to fry, but different fish to fry. And you are the absolute perfect ambassadors for that. So I cannot thank all of you enough. I'm going to turn to this screen now where I can see you all. You have been gems. You have totally lit up this opening session. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavours and hope to be able to check in with you another time. So thank you so much. Wow. That was absolutely impressive. And what we were left there, of course, with that fabulous image, which kind of summed up the urgency to act in a very, very simple way. That was exactly the challenge that I did give to Gattis. And it leads me into us being able to show you some more images that are part of an Instagram challenge. Now, the Instagram challenge was launched by the Commission as part of GreenWeek, asking young Europeans to illustrate how they see a world without pollution. And there are some examples. Now, if you can see, you've got examples from children aged from about 7 to 15. So you've got all of the greens and blues there. But I think what's so lovely about seeing all of those 12 images side by side is the different ways that young people think about that, express it, articulate it visually. It's really nice to see the differences and the overlaps. So check out that Instagram challenge that's a part of GreenWeek. We're in the real twilight moments of this opening session. So I have the great pleasure of asking the Director General of DG Environment, Florica Fink-Hoyer, inspired by these images, inspired by those brilliant speakers on that second panel there, to say a few closing words before I wrap this session. Thank you.
Thank you. And I must say we're all, I think, very much inspired because it was really real-life people and real-life examples that they told us on what we can do. And that's all about our future. And some of you might have heard also about the conference on the future of Europe, on which you can have your say about how you want Europe to shape up and in which type of Europe you want to live. And in the inaugurational meeting, our president, von der Leyen, she actually said that the challenge of environment is the biggest threat that we are now facing. And I would like to quote her because she said, it is not so long ago that the environment was really a fringe or a peripheral issue for the European Union. And unfortunately, I lived through it, so I can testimony this. But it is now that it is the most central issue for our generation and for the generations to come. So this is why I think this Green Week, but also the opening session and the timely discussion we had here about the motto of zero pollution for healthier people and a healthier planet is exactly where we have to look at. And I would like to highlight 2 points that were already, I think, mentioned here a little bit. That was the urgency to act. Very much our cartoonist, he, illustrate that very well. Because we are in a global crisis, and we are in a global crisis which is not only a health and a biodiversity crisis, it is also one which is not only exacerbated, but actually illustrated by the COVID pandemic. And then we need real-life vision, real-life solutions. And I think all the participants in the beginning of this session now here gave their own personal ideas on their real-life ideas. Because it's not only scientists or politicians or engineers, business actors, but it is actually also very much the artists, the cultural actors, but also sports that should inspire us and take the others along to create a community to go ahead. And that's precisely what I think this first panel discussion was all about. And obviously, we also want to reach out to the young generation, not just because they have this mobilizing power and because you are giving us enthusiasm and you uplift us in that course on a better planet, but actually also because you are ready for change. And that's why we want to hear from you not only your ideas and your vision, but also your solutions, because you might come up with new exciting ideas we hadn't had. And actually we had a lot of challenges already, a chef challenge and we had a cartoonist challenge. But now I have a very great pleasure to talk about a further challenge, which will actually run throughout the whole week. Because we want to challenge a hackathon. And for that we have partnered up with Junior Achievements Europe, which is Europe's largest provider for educational programs. And they work for entrepreneurships and work readiness and financial literacy. And they work with schools and young people, moving business ideas into real life concepts. And in the run-up to this Green Week, Junior Achievement Europe has launched a call for expression of interest across the whole of Europe, and to participate in what we call the Generation E or Gen E Fights for Zero Pollution in this hackathon. And they have identified and selected 43 students from 10 teams from 10 European countries. And we will see, I think they are there already. Good to see them on the screen. And they come from all over the, not only European Union, but also outside, also from Albania, North Macedonia, and Estonia, Lithuania, many, many other places. I can't remember them all now. But I will now announce a new challenge, and I'm super proud of that, because in the coming days, these 10 teams will now work on a challenge in order to come up by Friday, just before the closing session, with a solution. And we will then also announce a winner. So here it is, the challenge for the Generation E Fight for Zero Pollution Hackathon. Watch out. Come up with an innovative solution that prevents pollution and helps rebuild the balance of the river, lake or sea in your region. I repeat that so that they get ready. An innovative solution that prevents pollution, helps rebuild the balance of the river, lake or sea in your region. So here we go. Now the 10 teams, ready, you go and launch. And you can also follow their developments, what they do actually every day through this week at 3 p.m. You can look at the Hackathon Network session. And then, as I said, we will announce the winner on Friday at 11:15 of who is, our hackathon for the Gen E Fight for Zero Pollution. So good luck to all the participants, and here you go. But this is not the only exciting session that we have. We had already a great opening. Thank you very much also to the moderator for that, and all the participants. But we also have a very rich program throughout the whole week. And I think there's something in for everybody. You pick and you choose. Of course, you cannot follow all the proposals that we put out. But we want to make it as interactive as possible, or by the virtual nature. So there is a Slido possibility. You have networking events. And you also can follow everything through the social media channels. But let me close by, telling you what we want to achieve throughout this whole week, because we want you to join our vision on zero pollution. That's really the Zero Pollution Action Plan has put forward a plan for less pollution, actually going down to harmless levels for air, water and soil. And I hope that the whole Green Week brings you ideas, brings you food for discussion, but also new perspectives. And through this, we can all shape a better Europe. And that brings me back to the Conference for the Future of Europe. And I think this is already part of this Conference of the Future of Europe. This whole week, the whole session will be part of that. And therefore, if you participate, you can influence. And I think that's what we have to do. So good luck to everybody.
Thank you so much there to Florica for very importantly, I think, reiterating exactly how and why there is something for everyone in this year's edition of Green Week. So be warned, stay online, just keep having a look around and see what floats your boat and takes your fancy. Now, I did launch you a challenge at the beginning, but it seems that you've all been so intently watching this opening session that you haven't sort of been playing with your phones and putting anything on Twitter as yet. So I really do invite you, don't forget, 2 ways that you can raise your voices throughout this whole week. One of the ways, of course, is through Slido, and the other way is, of course, through Twitter, #EUGreenWeek. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the close of this opening session, and I would like very, very much to thank the Director General. I would like to thank again the Commissioner. I'd like to thank all of our absolutely fabulous speakers we had from the World Health Organization, from UNEP. We had our fabulous Mayor, who is winner of the European Green Capital of 2021, Lahti, and we had those marvellous 5 expert guests who were such a wonderful and spirited surprise for this opening session. I would also like to say special thanks to the technicians. This is a beast of an event. It's just the beginning for them. I can tell you, you've got some people working very hard behind the scenes. And I would like to thank our interpreters for this opening session. So important so that I could connect, and you too, with some of our expert speakers. But of course, the most important people that I have to thank is you, because quite frankly, without you, there is no Green Week. So do stay tuned, do have a look around as the Director General asked you. I will have the privilege of moderating another couple of sessions during Green Week, and then I come back here to orchestrate the closing session. 12 o'clock, that's midday CEST on Friday. So if you loved what you saw in the opening session, you for sure want to be back for the closing session. And on that note, I think I can actually release you all. So you've got a break now, you've got some parallel sessions. So all I can say to you is enjoy. Thank you very much.